Hi there, this is Maneesh Vijaya from PM Pulse bringing to you yet another episode of PM Ninja video series to you. In this power-packed episode, we are going to discuss about the distinction between a plan and a project document. Keep watching. The distinction between project documents and plan is quite serious. Ask any of the PMP candidates and they'll tell you they find it very difficult to actually clearly articulate exactly what is the distinction between a plan and a document. Their contention is that, you see, even if you make a plan, ultimately it's kept in the form of a document. So essentially all plans are documents and all documents, well, they're connected to projects and some plan discusses and talks about them and therefore they're interchangeable, they are one and the same thing. Absolutely incorrect. Yes, I do understand that when you talk about a plan, technically speaking, you'll put it in the form of a document, right? But that does not make it a document from project management perspective. Let me explain this. A plan is something that you make, which is going to tell you exactly what steps you're going to take, how you're going to get certain things done. Basically, a plan is the way that you are going to execute a portion of the project or the entire project, as it doesn't really matter. The point is, a plan is the way of execution. It's a plan that is made ahead of time. It has to be approved and has to have buy-in from everybody that, this is how the steps you're going to take and execute. That's called a plan. Now just imagine that you got an approval on something which is going to direct the way that you're going to execute, and you've got approvals on it, buy-ins on it. You just can't change it. Of course you can change it, but then you'll have to go through the change management process. Why do you have to go to the change management process? Because it's a plan. Change of a plan has rather serious consequences on a project, and therefore it has to go through proper change control process, which is another way of saying that somebody approves the change in the plan. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is that you cannot update a plan without approval. It's as simple as that. You cannot change a plan without approval. You cannot update a plan without an approval. On the other hand, a project document is one of the elements that you would use during execution to fill in data, to capture a lot of issues, to capture a lot of information, to distribute information. Those are all documents. So how do you distinguish a plan from a document? Well, the single biggest point is you can update a document without any approval. In fact, it's part of your job to just keep on updating documents, right? But the moment you have to update a plan or to change a plan, you have to go through CCB, Change Control Board, or through the change control process, right? You need an approval to change a plan. That's the major and the biggest distinction between the two. Let's take an example, project charter. Do you think it's a plan or a document? Well, if you thought that it's a plan, you're 100% correct, because though the word plan is not used with this terminology, it still is a plan. Can you change a project charter? Can you update it without seeking an approval? Absolutely not, because changing a project charter is like creating a new project. So it's one of those plans which are very hard to change even with the approval of managers. So anyway, forget about how difficult it is or not. It is a plan because you cannot change it without approval. Okay, what about risk register? Can you update it without taking an approval? Of course, risk register are meant to be updated by team members, by stakeholders, by constantly writing the new risks that they have identified. So they have to keep on updating. New information about the risk has to be constantly updated in a document called risk register. Therefore, it's a document. Okay, what about communication management plan? Can we not just update it? Of course not. Communication management plan is a plan that dictates how you're going to communicate in this particular project. Of course not. You simply cannot update a communication plan because it actually dictates the way you are going to communicate and with which stakeholders in what form, in what format in this particular project. And that has been approved. That means if you want to update or change the communication plan, you have to go through proper channels and get it approved. But what about issue logs? It's a document because issues have to be constantly updated as the project progresses. Anybody has a technical issue, as a human-related issue, issues connected to the way the project is being run, issues connected to any other stakeholder, personal issues, everything has to be kept in the document and constantly updated and prioritized. Nobody needs any kind of an approval for that, right? So I hope that I have been able to explain to you very clearly, particularly for those who are actually appearing for PMP exams, this distinction is extremely important. There are 3 or 4 scenario-based questions which show up in the exams connected to this, and I hope that I've been instrumental enough to help you master them. All right, that's what we do. At PM Pulse, we try to explain things in very simple manner and yet extremely effective manner. This is Maneesh Vijaya from PM Pulse. Now that you know the distinction between a plan and a document, go ahead and subscribe and make sure that you also press the bell icon or leave a thumbs up. It just helps. This is Maneesh Vijaya signing off. See you again sometime.